Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Newton, and I practice homeopathy from here in my home. I see clients all over the world on Zoom, video, or other video chat. And today I'm talking about one of my cases. And I'm talking about two remedies that helped this case, and that is tuberculinum and phos. I'll put those here. And I'm not talking about these so that you'll go ahead and try them, although it's not out of the realm of possibility that you could try them and they could work. But I'm talking about them to show you sort of how I match up remedies to a case and how they can help to resolve the case. And by the way, I'm not going over a full case study of this client because it would be a really long one, and that's probably something I would put in a blog post. I'm telling you about one consultation and one protocol and how it resolved the case. So this is a PANS case, and the child was having a PANDAS relapse. Not as severe as she had in the past, but it was a relapse, and the mom wanted to, get something going to help her relax. And a lot of it was anxiety. And the way homeopathy works is that we don't really need a diagnosis. It can present as anxiety. It doesn't mean you have PANDAS PANS. Um, Remedies can help people regardless of what their diagnosis is. So let me go ahead and jump in here and talk about the case features before I talk about the remedies. So, the case features are that she had poor concentration and focus. She was happy and dancing, and then all of a sudden, doom and gloom, almost bipolar. That was the mom's words. She gets mean. She has creative mania. And then she'll crash. So she'll create, and then crash. And then she'll crash after being around people out in public. She'll get very weak and tired out in public, have to sit down. She described to me herself a burning sensation with fatigue. And she had a throat clearing thing that the mom was not sure if it was an allergy or a tick, but she was leaning toward a tick, which is can come along with some pandas cases. And then she was sad about a situation about her brother, and she also presented with fear of growing up. So when you pick out a remedy for a case like this, it may not cover every single aspect, but you want to find the remedy that covers as many features as possible. And sometimes I will prescribe two. And in this situation, I gave two remedies. One is tuberculinum, one is phos. And for those who are homeopaths or have been doing this for a long time, the exact remedies I gave are tuberculinum marmorek and hypophosphoricum. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to go over tuberculinum and phos because they closely match the materia medica or the information on these remedies. So for tuberculinum, in terms of this case, the features that this remedy can help are mania, melancholy, abusiveness, and changing moods. But there's other features that this remedy can help, and I'll list some of those now. Desire to travel, restlessness, chest issues. So it could be somebody with asthma or recurring bronchitis, things like that. So this remedy can clear what we call the tubercular miasm. Don't worry about that if you don't know what that is. Hopelessness, sensitive to music, and fears something bad will happen. So tuberculinum can cover a very large number of issues. These are just some of the most important that characterize a tuberculinum case. She didn't have all of these, but she did have the mania, melancholy, abusiveness, and changing moods. I also recommended phos, and the features of phos are feeling overworked, the slightest bit of labor seems like a heavy task, and that can be mental labor as well. Mental and physical prostration or debility, anxiety with nervous dread, dullness of mind, weak memory, emaciation, ailments from strong emotions, fright, and grief. So in this case, I wanted to give her two remedies. I had her mom start one at a time so that we can see which one is doing which. I don't remember which one she started, but I think she started tuberculinum first. And basically, the mom reported these changes. This protocol really helped the child. The tuberculinum most definitely helps with her throat clearing. The hypo or the phos helps with her burning symptoms and anxiety. She hasn't had any flares since we started this protocol, and she's referring to PANDAS flares. When she has a flare, she gets edgy and mean, and I haven't seen any of that. Yay. So this was a great case. Now, this is a case I've been working on for a long time. So when I first started working with this case, it took more than just one protocol to calm the PANDAS features down. She had quite a bit of mental and emotional features of PANDAS, less ticky, more emotional. And it took, a lot of communication in the beginning, several follow-ups to get it calmed down. Now, we're like, what, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years into working with this family. So it's easier now when the child has a flare for me to get on top of it. That's just how it typically goes with PANDAS. It typically becomes easier eventually to get on top of the flares. So we can do it within a couple days. I mean, in my case, since I'm a homeopath, any kind of flare of chronic conditions in my house, I can get on top of in hours. But that's because I'm here, I know what I'm doing, I can jump right on it. I have a ton of remedies in my house. But when I'm working with someone, I can usually get on top of a flare of a chronic condition within a few days, within a couple weeks at the most, usually. Every once in a while, we'll have a situation where a kid goes through puberty and they're having a really big flare. It might take a little bit longer. It might almost feel like we're starting from scratch, but we're not. It will resolve quicker than it did in the beginning. For anyone who just has anxiety and they want to just dabble in homeopathy on their own, there's a remedy called Sedalia, which I'll link below. And this is a combo remedy that has been known to help with anxiety. It won't necessarily get to the root of it. It won't necessarily get you to the point where you're having less and less flares over time, or even stop the flares so that you don't have to take remedies all the time. But it's a good way to just dabble in homeopathy to see the power that it has. Another way to do that is to look at the link below and check out my free How to Use Homeopathy in Your Home book. And that's my free ebook. So you can get that in the link below. And if you're interested in studying homeopathy or just doing some more research about it to possibly use it for any chronic conditions, what I always recommend is looking at a book called Impossible Cure, The Promise of Homeopathy by Amy Lansky. This book is so good for just the layman who wants to understand how homeopathy works. Homeopathy is not supplements and herbs. This book really goes into dosing and what the progression of a case can look like. And there are a lot of great, amazing case studies in here, including autism and Alzheimer's even, that are pretty head turning. So I always recommend that book. And getting started, if you wanted to just dabble in your home for like a headache or a flu or a cold, what I always recommend, I love this book. This is my favorite acute book, Everybody's Guide to Homeopathic Medicines. As you can see, I've had this book forever. I even like literally taped it because it ripped and I didn't want to buy a new one. And then getting yourself a kit to work with. So this is actually an 18 remedy kit. They have 36 remedy kits, 50 remedy kits, 100 remedy kits. So getting a basic remedy kit and combining that with an acute homeopathy book so you can look up your symptoms and find the right remedy is an amazing way to get started in your home so that you can just learn what homeopathy is about, find out what it has to offer, find out how powerful it is, see that you're going to the doctor less often because you're able to get on top of things quickly. That's how I got into homeopathy. My younger son got a flu and I used a product called oscillococcinum, which is sold over the counter for the flu. And after a few doses, he went from being like laid out flat out on the couch to like up and moving around like nothing, no symptoms at all. Now, I took him to the doctor anyway because I felt at the time like, okay, this has to be like a temporary thing. Like, what's going on here? I want to know what he has. And I went to the doctor and she tested. Well, I told her, I think he has the flu. She said he doesn't have the flu. I said, I think he has the flu. Please test him for the flu. And she tested him for the flu and he had the flu. And she said, I never see kids acting like this. Like he was bouncing around her office. He was little then. Like nothing was wrong with him. Nothing was wrong with him. And she looked at me like, how is this possible? And I said, I don't know. I gave this remedy that I bought they sell it at Walgreens, but I think I bought it at Whole Foods. And I said, then he was just fine. And so anyway, that's how I learned about the power of homeopathy and wow, like how it can make life easier because at midnight, if somebody has a fever, you can, jump in there and use the right remedy. Or I've had like UTI symptoms before at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I can take a remedy and go back to sleep within 30 minutes. Like it's amazing how much easier this kind of stuff, just having this in your home, can work. Not that you shouldn't go to the doctor still for some things. Sometimes I have to do that, and sometimes my children have to. But I've been able to cut that back quite a bit, even ER visits. So that's something I highly recommend. All of those things are linked below. That's one of my cases. I'm going to do another case study soon this week, having to do with an acute case and how I was able to help a pregnant mom with an acute condition. And I hope to see you on that video. Bye-bye.